Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to welcome you to the most influential urban conservative show in the world. Yes, yours truly, you lined up to hear the king of 9 p.m., the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. Yes, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then the socialist. Ladies and gentlemen, sleigh bells are ringing. Chimes are ever ringing. Choirs, they be singing. And we're all celebrating the holiday season. From menorah to Christmas tree, there is a great joy and festivity in all the land. I am welcoming you, for those who are tuning in right now, to the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. That's where you can get some of the best encouragement and wisdom on the face of the earth. Jersey Joe in the chat room. He is the weaver of common sense. And ladies and gentlemen, his show will be kicking live January 4th for 2 hours. We'll be hearing more about that later on. I wanted to talk with you all tonight about a very important issue. How is it that when Americans disagree, they automatically bring up a German named Hitler? Well, it's very easy when you don't know exactly what you're talking about. So tonight what we're going to do is an education piece. We're going to educate some people on the lives and times of Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. You will soon see, by what we know about them, that they are as different a person as the left shoe is the right. Dean, thanks for joining in here tonight. The beautiful, the bouncy, the benevolent, the gracious Adele. Adele. Mrs. Biggs is in Ustream and as well live stream watching us. You're here right now. So how we kick off this show? Everybody knows around the world that when we kick off our show, we kick it off not just with the funk of conservatism, but as well the greatest privilege that we have as Americans, and that is to pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Get your hats off, put your right hand over your heart. Let's get ready to join the kids in singing or speaking the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we begin another festive evening on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Tonight's topic being the lives and times of Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump. I want to bring your attention to some of the things that we have observed via, I will say YouTube in this particular case. Donald Trump, and we explained this last night, virtually recited to you the 1952 immigration law, and that the American way and the Constitution are preeminent in deciding whether an individual can come to this country and be a citizen of the United States of America. And I told you all last night, I am not a Donald Trump fan, but I am very happy that Donald Trump is in the race. The reason I'm very happy about Donald Trump being in the race is because he is pushing the envelope so that we can discuss the things that put us at greatest risk. like a salesman, he is negotiating the conversation. And while there's a lot of people that deal with the subterfuge of whether we like him or not, or is he likable? His poll numbers of likability are so low. He's unlikable, but people don't care about that. And I keep trying to alert people that what he is trying to do, or at least what he is saying and doing, virtually allows us the opportunity to express not only what we think and what we feel, but to examine how the ruling class here in Washington, D.C. has taken away your liberty and your rights over the years and replaced it with a sincere, just trust me attitude. We were supposed to just trust the Obama administration that their vetting process was so advanced that we wouldn't have to worry about someone getting through with either Ebola or without a prudent visa. And yet it happened. And so there are those, whether in Hollywood or in other places of the world, that have made this determination of Donald Trump since his, I really think, august negotiating appeal. Shut it down for Muslims who are coming in from outside of the country. And then we can deal with what we have here and know what we're expecting. Now, I know that the title for the show is as controversial as the controversial statement made by Donald Trump himself. But there are those who have no fear because the man is trying to negotiate a conversation and force public opinion to be made that he's Hitler. Individuals who have never heard of Adolf Hitler, and there are some in our generations that have never heard of Adolf Hitler, besides the Cartoon Network images of Adolf Hitler. They don't know what Hitler is. They don't know what fascism is. They don't know what bigotry is. They don't know what racism is. All they know is if I say racism, it stops the conversation. Obama has been one of the greatest conversational stoppers in modern times. Donald Trump is becoming one of the greatest conversational starters in modern times. And how is he greeted for that? Let's listen to Jason George of Grey's Anatomy.
Here's the thing. I'm pretty certain Hitler was high on that list once upon a time too. So the fact that Trump is high on the list, I'm like, no, he's part of the he's a game changer in the conversation. I'll give you that. But you know, so is Hitler.
Wow. So Donald Trump is comparable to Hitler. Is he? Tom Hartman is commenting on a piece by John Dean in which he writes, Donald Trump is an authoritarian like Adolf Hitler. And in that, you might be surprised.
Writing at justia.com, it's reprinted over at alternate.com or .org, suggesting that Donald Trump is the authoritarian ruler that Republicans and some Democrats have been waiting for. Yesterday over on Daily Beast, I was reading a long interview with a guy who just wrote a new book about the Third Reich. And the question was, how did the Germans buy into Hitler? Now, Hitler was never elected by a majority. The most he ever got was about 33% of the vote, or his party. And there's actually this interview blows up a number of myths that are quite interesting. But the net of all this is that Hitler's message to the German people, which came about as a consequence of the Great Depression, which hit Germany just like it hit every other country in the world in the early 1930s. Hitler's response to the Great Depression was to say, I'm the tough guy, hire me or put me in charge of the country, I'll fix everything. I know who the bad guys are. I know how to negotiate a deal. I know how to get things done. I'm the one.
Okay, I want you all to stop right here. And I want you all to think about what he's saying here. And I want you to ask yourself, what person whom comes to power does not say the very same thing? Listen.
Hitler's response to the Great Depression was to say, I'm the tough guy, hire me or put me in charge of the country, I'll fix everything. I know who the bad guys are. I know how to negotiate a deal. I know how to get things done. I'm the one. In other words, we need an authoritarian right now. And essentially, John Dean is saying the same thing about Donald Trump. In fact, we're going to be talking probably to him on Monday about this issue.
Really? So just because Donald Trump says he has ideas and he would like to fix America and make America great. Wait a minute. Did not Jeb Bush say the very same thing? Wait a minute. Didn't Hillary Clinton not say the same thing? Wait a minute. Didn't Bernie Sanders say the very same thing? Didn't Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States, number 44, Jim Brown, didn't he say the same thing? Well, wow. Paltry essences of argument demonizing people and comprehension and comparison. So tonight I want to do us all a favor. I want to do America a favor. Let's go back and let's study history. Because the truth of the matter is, most people speak about history because they don't know it. And the reason that they don't know it is they didn't take the time to learn it, number one, because it gets in the way of, watching stories of the football. And number two, it is much easier to seem knowledgeable and greater than your opponent by pretending you know something than actually knowing it and debasing your argument with the truth. There are those who don't know a thing about World War II, don't know a thing about Korean War, don't know a thing about Khrushchev taking his shoe off and slamming the heel upon the desk. They don't know anything about this stuff, but they automatically refer to Hitler. Why is it that no one ever refers to Mao Zedong when thinking about or talking about Hillary Clinton? Why doesn't anyone call out Obama as he was Lenin? Oh, because that's offensive, Ken. That's really offensive. No, what's offensive is you not knowing what you're talking about and then making elaborate comparisons which are unjustifiable and totally ignorant. Non sequitur, if someone would refer to one of my recent videos. Non sequitur. Non sequitur, doesn't matter. One way or the other, you say it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's examine first and foremost the definition of what a bigot is. Because there are too many of us who have been called this. I know that Ralph CHITTAMS is in our chat roll tonight. I know that he's been called a bigot. I know that I've been called a bigot. Good evening to you all. I know most of you all have been called bigots because you have spoken out against terrorism. Now, I don't know exactly what terrorism has to do with bigotry, but by golly, I do think with all of my heart that those who compare individuals who speak audaciously enough to say that we are a sovereign nation and can control our own borders by any means necessary, that we're bigots. Oh my, you just want to stop Islam. Islam has been around since 600 BC, for a little ways after that. If it ain't gone away by now, nothing I do about the borders will ever stop it. Or if it does go away because of what I've done about the borders, then I'm probably a good guy. Bigotry is in 1590 was considered the sanctimonious person, the religious hypocrite. Okay, and quite frankly, the earliest French used the word as a name of the people apparently in southern Gaul, which led to the now doubtful or phonetic grounds theory that the word comes from Visigothus. The typical use of Old French seems to have been as a derogatory nickname for the Normans. The old theory not universally accepted, being that it springs from their frequent use of the Germanic oath by God. By God. At the end, not much is left standing except Spanish bigote, which is mustache, which also has been proposed but not explained, and the chief virtue of which as a source seems to be there is no evidence. In support of the by God theory as a surname, Bigot, Bigot, are tested in Normandy and in England from the 11th century on. Ladies and gentlemen, the total sense of the word, if we were to look at it, was to deride the Normans. Okay, the English were known because in later years, Joan of Arc's France could not necessarily quell the Brits. But Joan of Arc said that her championship for France was by God. So they referred to her as a bigot. But the original term is to refer to someone who is religiously hypocritical. Now, remember last night I challenged Achilles West to show me somewhere in the Bible where it says, based on a foreign policy decision, a man or woman is going to hell. Achilles West did not respond to me either during the show and has not since. So I doubt very seriously if he's found any scripture which points to that. We know a hypocrite to be someone who professes something and public, but in private does not actually hold true to that virtue. A pretender, an actor. Well, we have someone who's been an actor as commander-in-chief of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Certainly not by God, but by his own standard. A person who says that he wishes our nation to shut down its borders, Belgium has done that. Other nations in Europe are closing their borders to Muslims because the refugees have invaded their territory, are demanding resources which they don't have the means of ever meeting, and do not feel that they must become a part of that civilization, but that civilization must fall to them. The hypocrisy of it all is for individuals to say that they are for the liberty of those who become a part of America, and yet also stand for the invading forces from other lands who use their religion as the great tool to divide and conquer. The Ebony Williams of the world, and I want to ask Ebony Williams personally, since she degraded Christianity tonight, that Christianity has such terrible beginnings, that how we were killing and raping and maiming. Yeah, okay, all right. So why do you want, are you a Christian, Ebony Williams? Are you? And if you are, why would you want to be part of a sect that believes that killing, raping, and murdering are the great... So you can't restate history unless you're a Democrat. And Democrats don't believe in Jesus. What they believe in is their race, and they believe in their ideology. But you cannot present an immoral justification for allowing those from Syria to come in by God. You cannot say because the Christians were so bad that we must allow evil Muslims into our land. That is an immoral justification, and it doesn't make sense on its parameters. You are not a bigot because you're not religiously hypocritical. In fact, if you study the Old Testament and the New, you will find the fact that God believes that you should have self-defense. And then secondly, that your nation should be strong. One nation under who? Under God. You are not a bigot because you do not want people coming into your country to destroy it. Now let's take a look at fascism. Another term that people are just throwing around. Oh, I know, I got 2 minutes before I go to a break. Fascism, by definition, is a way of organizing a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government. Donald Trump disagrees with the government. How is that fascism? Donald Trump is negotiating open conversation and rebuke of current policy. How is that fascism? How is he saying, by his comments of we the people shutting down our borders as a sovereign nation, that we're dictatorial or that he's dictatorial? How is that? And is he telling everyone by his comments that he doesn't want a welcome disagreement? I don't think he has. So in a sense, those who apply the terms of fascism to what Donald Trump said are erroneous. But you're probably asking yourself, Ken, as we're going to this hard break, Ken, how come other shows don't do what you just did and break it down for us? Break it down so that we don't get caught up in the emotional baggage, but that we actually explore the concepts, the precepts, and the content and context of what someone says. Here's the answer. Because ideology sells, it makes men slaves in all lands. The ideology of the left has even conquered the rhinos in the Republican Party. We'll be right back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. We're talking about tonight the lives and times of Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of a Fuse restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. tell you about our infused heat burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80/20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know where you need to go right now. It's very simple, very easy. It's 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. It's infuse.com. Infuse Restaurant, 301-449-9000. Everyone in the D.C. area, especially those who are listening on the down low. I know you're listening. I do. My numbers show it. I know you're listening. Okay? And some of you all on the down low agreeing with everything I say, nodding on me or whatever in public. But in private, I get your download, I get your messages. I know. Y'all show up at Infuse and get yourself something to eat. Break a little something off for the Williams family there. 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. Now, a message from one of the most powerful commentators in all of the world. We're going to be able to play just a portion of this. This will get you kind of tasty, but it's the unpleasant blind guy.
What they do is not in your face. All the time they won't take your place. The backstabbers, it's not in your face. All the time they won't take your place. The backstabbers.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Miller. I am the unpleasant blind guy. I'd like to thank Mike Krallis, that's Mike Krallis on the Twitter, for kind words about my 9/11 special marking. Now, it's been a while since I've done long-form shows, and this one is also going to be different from my usual format because I'm going to be discussing a very important issue that will be affecting all Americans. If it's not next door to you now, our government is seeing to it that it will be soon, and therein lies the problem. What do you do when you were raised to believe that the words of Dr. Martin Luther King were not just words, but a philosophy to live by? You take it to heart, and you encourage others to do so. You adopt it as the American way, and you expand it to acknowledge the legitimacy of equal rights for women and all other Americans. Then you learn that 190 cities around the United States of America are going to be used as focal points to spread tens of thousands of people, mostly fit young men of military age, throughout your country. And the problem is that these individuals have not been raised the way you were. They believe in and live by an ideology that runs completely counter to the culture of inclusiveness that we in the United States of America have achieved after generations of struggle and the expenditure of literally tens of thousands of lives. What happens when a nation like ours is inundated by the followers of Islam? This is the first in a 5-part series that will examine what happens when Islamization of a free society reaches certain points. I received a lot of help doing this from Kel Fritzy of Red Fox Radio and her co-host Tim Burton of the United Kingdom. On their November the 30th show, I interviewed Kel, who is from Canada, Tim, plus Jeff Mitchell from the United Kingdom, and Michelle Walsh from Canada. Full disclosure, I work with Jeff, Tim, and Kel on the English Defense League radio program, which currently can be heard at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time via blogtalkradio.com. These people live in different parts of their nations, and they have witnessed the changes in their societies and in the way their people must live to accommodate the followers of Islam. This is a very special program because it has to do with the issue of the Syrian refugees and their insinuation into our countries, into all of our countries, really. Now, it came home to me in an email that I received on November the 24th from Governor Peter Shumlin of Vermont, where I live. The subject line, welcoming refugees with open arms. And by the way, if anyone wants to get hold of the governor, it's governorbt@vermont.gov. That's Governor Peter Shumlin, 109 State Street, Pavilion, Montpelier, Vermont, 05609. Phone number 802-828-3333. By the way, the governor does have a very nice Twitter page. It's @Gov, and he has a Facebook page. And certainly tell anyone that you know that lives in Vermont about this podcast and those contact info bits that I just gave you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read this email, and then Kel is going to play you a very special clip that the governor made for us. The mail reads as follows. Today I had the privilege of visiting with refugees from around the world who have recently come to Vermont. All of them are working hard to build a new life here in the Green Mountain State. 2 days before Thanksgiving, I am thankful to have them in Vermont. Given the calls from some governors to pause refugee resettlements, my message is that Vermont will continue to welcome those fleeing war and violence with compassion, hospitality, and open arms. With that, Kel, if you would please play the governor's very special, the audio from the governor's very special video.
Okay.
Welcome
I'm
to
so
Vermont.
happy to see you today.
Well, I'm happy to see you, and I'm happy you're a Vermonter.
Okay.
Welcome. And do you have a job? Are you looking for a job here? Yeah. You're working?
Yeah.
Where do you work? The farmhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's good food. Good beer. All right. Great to meet you. Happy Thanksgiving. Congratulations and welcome. Very nice. Good to meet you.
What's interesting in the video to me is that the first person the governor talks to is a woman, giving the lie, I'm sure, that he and his office want to generate, that no, the Syrian refugees aren't just Syrian, they're from other places around the world. They're not just young men of military age, there are women and children. This is a la President Obama's recent statement. And you notice, though, he only talks to a few people. And he makes sure, by the way, to talk about how the woman has a job, because he doesn't want people to think about the possibility that these people are going to be coming in here into Vermont and into other states in the United States of America with absolutely no skills, and therefore be our welfare system. So it's a very tiny but a very clever little video that he has put out, and the wording of his email shows that he is very much looking forward to all of the votes that I'm sure that he believes that these people and their dependents soon to follow will generate, and their descendants.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy. For more of that wonderful speak, go to SHR Media, Spreaker for Unpleasant Blind Guy, 12515, or go to YouTube and type in Unpleasant Blind Guy. I assure you, when it comes up, you will get the same feeling I had of listening to that whole part.
It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe, right swipe.
That sounds like my sister. It does. Oh, no, she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
That's a belly button. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
that's right.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
look at
you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag complexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, now the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be so hard to try. I think you're my type, and I'm not type. Hope you're good and satisfied. I just left twice, bye-bye. I just left twice.
Let's swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? This stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking offensive. I was about to ask, how's the arrow there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from tens to twos. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with the tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Let's swipe that.
I don't host a truck race?
Let's swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Let's swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Let's swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? This stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
Hashtag!
Yeah.
I'll never remember you.
Ringing the bells of the holidays, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you two things. One, I am going to set up that library I have been promising you all for 5 years on my website. I'm going to do it tonight. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exception Conservative Show. The book I'm holding here, so you can see on Ustream, is A Time to Kill. And it's about the myth of Christian pacifism. I'm going to put it right here for those who are watching via live stream or will see it later on. A Time to Kill, the myth of Christian pacifism. I want to thank, I want to thank my good friend, Greg Hopkins from Alabama, who wrote this book. He hung out with Mayub Alub, one of the great self-defense minds of all time. And he is an attorney, and I'm telling you, a great man of God. He wrote this book so that you would not feel like sheep, that it's okay for you to defend yourself. You can go see his stuff. Hopefully you can. I'll put his card up there for you to see. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay, you could probably see that right there. Okay, this way. There you go. Or this way. Move it back some. Okay. BibleSelfDefense.com. Gregory Hopkins, attorney at law. And you can find him at 4800 Whitesburg Drive, Suite 30, 228, Huntsville, Alabama, 35802. Telephone number 256-679-4534. Gregory N. Hopkins, attorney at law, BibleSelfDefense.com. I'm tired of Christians telling me that you cannot arrest your way out of a homicide situation. Don't know where that came from. And I'm tired of people, and I didn't do that over this, telling me that Christians can't defend themselves. Heck to the yeah, you can. You better defend yourself. You better. There you go. For those who are live stream, hopefully you can see that. It's BibleSelfDefense.com. But I'm encouraging each and every one of you, get this book, read this book. This is our book of the month, people. This is our book of the month. We're going to be reading it. I'm going to have Greg come on before the end of the year. I hope that you all get it and buy it. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay. Then I went to Shoppers tonight, for those of you. And I went to Shoppers out in Upper Marlboro. Coral Hills, Maryland, in fact. And this time of the year, you would hope that people are joyful and joyous and really, greet you and make you want to spend some money. I mean, just go in there and spend some money. Happy Christmas, Merry New Year, whatever it is. I'm for it. But I was greeted at the counter, after standing in line at the 20 or less area, where we actually should have accountants working. But I just want to say, and after standing there, and going up to the line, there I am. It's a Dave, thank you. Yep, it's a card. I was greeted with him. Yeah. It wasn't Happy New Year. It wasn't Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It wasn't any of that. It was, yeah. And then just staring into the computer screen, typing in the food as it goes on the conveyor belt. You order, your price is so. You can put it through there. And I felt the greatest misery in all of the world. How miserable can it be this time of the year? And I know people go through stuff, and I know that there is a statistical probability that you will be greeted with a cashier or a salesperson or someone on the floor, which is why I love now doing online shopping rather than retail shopping. I have my own joy. I like to keep it. And the people are so just, what is it? Blah. They're just blah. We have taken the greatest joy from people with our ideology. I mean, you have people that tell you, don't say Christmas, don't say Merry, don't say Happy. And speaking of Mary, Mary's my bouncer. She's in the chat roll. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Love you, Mary. We have allowed our angst and anger and hostility towards the church and some of its representative bodies to take away the joy of the season. And so, I'll be very frank with you. In urban America, where there is very little economic success, I'm going to tell you, managers, all the ones whose faces are downtrodden, who have a bad attitude, you should give them the vacation they deserve. Give it to them. You can take 4 weeks off. You don't have to come in. I'm only going to work the people who have joy, who smile, who want to help people, who want to encourage people, who want to. I know it's $7.99 right there. What did the price tag say on there? It said $5.99. Okay, well, guess what? It's $5.99. We're gonna let you have that. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. People who are making decisions, having joy, making you feel like, I just spent $5.99. I got $2 more I can spend. I'm gonna go back there and get something a little. That's what I'm talking about. I went into Shoppers tonight, and after the total was rung up by the person who was the Grinch, she's a mean one, Mrs. Grinch. Yeah, I mean, looking at her, I felt like giving her the food I just bought because she looked like she was, take the. You know who your employees are. I know some of them are coming through the work programs or whatever, but you know what? Give them 4 weeks. Yeah, especially since Black Friday last month was a terrible Black Friday. $2 billion less in sales than the previous year. Okay, if you're going to make your money, dog, let me talk to you for a second. You know what I'm saying? I just want to talk to you. If you're going to make your bank, you know what I'm saying? Shaquita got to go behind the counter someplace or whatever, have her stock the shelves or something along with the elves from Santa's crib. You know what I'm saying? But Kalissa or whatever, or Shaniqua, who's got that smile on her face and all happy and just loving the Temptations playing or whatever, put her on the cash register, man. That's all I'm saying. Back to you. This is a year for spending money. This is a time of year you spend money. Don't put your B-rated people out there on the floor. Put them on the shelves. That's where they belong. Put stuff up on the shelves. Y'all just don't know how to make profit. In fact, I might do at the very end of this year. I know I do the Kwanzaa thing and tear that all the joint. But I'm going to talk about some of the P's that we need to think of going into the new year. And I'll get into that a little bit later, along with the worldview that we'll start on Monday talking about. But tonight, the lives and times of Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump. I want to go through, in the moments that we have remaining, first and foremost, I want to do this, a real good favor for a good friend. The Weaver Common Sense, Jersey Joe.
Jersey Joe continues his takeover of conservative talk radio. Beginning January 4th, the Weaver Common Sense Show will expand. The show will now be live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. The show from hell continues its takeover.
That's for Jersey Joe. There you go, my brother. Jersey Joe, Weaver Common Sense, Tampa Bay, wonderful lunch that we had together. And I'm encouraging everybody to go listen to his show. Now, let me get back to the conversation at hand. I want to talk about Nazism for just a second. I want you all to know these terms because I only want to debate people on terms and principles and don't want to get into the weeds of ad hominem attacks. Why do socialists call conservatives Nazis? Think about it. Why do socialists who call themselves Democrats call conservatives Nazis? First and foremost, there is no way that a conservative could possibly be a Nazi. They are not synonymous. They are not one for the other. In fact, if you are a Nazi, you are closer to being a Democrat socialist here in the United States than you are a conservative. These are the things that the Nazi socialists believed in. They believed in social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is another form called social evolution. Evolution? Who believes in evolution? When Cruz runs around and says, I believe in a creator, you're a Nazi! No! He's a biblically sound man. Nazis believed in evolution. And in fact, for all you black people who are calling Donald Trump a Nazi, get it straight, folk. Wake up. Evolution, Darwinism, was not about bringing equality and human rights into the world. It was about making certain that you understood that you are monkey. Okay? I don't know how else to say it to you because you ain't getting it. The Democrat socialists of the day that are running around talking about evolution and climate change are looking at you and laughing because they could say that to you 30 years ago because you were calling them out and said you're a racist. No, now they got you running around talking about somehow because you fart after Thanksgiving dinner that you control the weather. Are you crazed? Social Darwinism. Now, also, the Nazis believed in a master race. Now, I know black folk got Master P and certainly walk around with their Black Lives Matter talking about white people want to be the master race. But what white people? Every time you vote Black Lives Matter, you vote to replace another white Democrat with another white Democrat who are socialists, who believe in evolution, who are pointing back at you and laughing at you because you're weak of mind and weak of content and substance. And you're afraid, based on your ideology, to change because then you would have to admit that you were wrong. So you're prideful people, and that's okay. Most impoverished people are. Donald Trump doesn't believe in a master race. At least I haven't heard him say that all white people are the greatest things since Swiss cheese. I haven't heard him say that. Also, the Nazis were opposed to capitalism. And guess what? They were opposed to communism. But guess what Black Lives Matter is? Communism. And wait a minute. Black Lives Matter is communist, but it votes for Democrat socialists who laugh at you because they think of you as a monkey, and you can't think of anyone else to go to challenge them to change laws. You're fighting in the streets to get rid of Rahm Emanuel. What are you going to replace it with? Another Rahm Emanuel. You tell me who's the kooky one here. You're kooky for Coco. Finally, in terms of all of this, Nazi socialism came out of Marxism. Nazi socialism came out of Marxism. My friends, I ask you, what kooky for Cocoa Puffs guy who was called a female kitten or a great pleasurable place for husbands to be with their wives, Mr. Mom Jeans himself, who presents a people's community, a community organizer that he is, presents the ideals of Marxism? Let me give you a little time to think about that. That would be the Democrat, Socialist, Marxist, Leninist, moving quickly to communist dictator that he is, Barack Hussein Obama. What organization lines up to support him? The Democrat Socialists. What organization has Bernie Sanders running for the presidency of the United States? That would be the Democrat. Wait a minute. No, Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Oh, wait. So that would mean that anyone, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, or any of them are closer to being Nazis than Donald Trump. Now, I did not call them that. What I said was, and pay attention, because I know that you're about to report to everywhere, Kevin Clinton said that Barack Obama was a Nazi. No, I said that's close. Ladies and gentlemen, know what you're talking about before you make the accusation. Donald Trump is a capitalist, pure and sweet. He has used the laws of the ideologists to make his wealth. He will be the first to tell you that. But he also understands that the sustenance of a great nation requires that, one, that it reserves a sovereign will to keep its borders. A nation without borders is a united nation. A nation with borders is the United States. You be the judge on which one wants open borders. Yes, Paul Ryan wants open borders. Yes, the Republican establishment wants open borders. They are falling off the way, moving very fast towards that socialistic thinking. Capitalists, free marketers, free marketeers, constitutionalists, those who believe in a republic, move in the exact opposite manner. I want to go over very quickly. I only have a few moments, just 2 minutes in fact. But I'm going to start, and then in the fourth quarter, after we release the KRAKEN, we're going to talk about Adolf Hitler versus, not Barack Obama. I was going to say Barack Obama. Adolf Hitler versus Donald Trump. And I'm quite certain that you will understand that it is a false assertion to make that Donald Trump could ever be In fact, let me just go with this story real quick, and then I'll come back to all that in the fourth quarter. I want to put this in the chat roll for everybody. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I'm yours truly, Ken McClinton. But London, England, there was a petition calling for Donald Trump to be banned from entering the UK, and it has attracted over 300,000 signatures. And as a result of it collecting over 300,000 signatures, the British Parliament may debate whether Donald Trump will be banned from coming into the United Kingdom. Now, let's get this straight. The country that had police officers with no guns who were being chased by a Muslim mob wants to ban a man who wants to get rid of the Muslim mobs from out of those particular countries. So you tell me, which side is really the most egregious, and which side is the most condemned? Know your terms before you stick your neck out there. We'll be back with more of the best right after these messages. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. We're ringing the bells. The holidays are here. Time to invite family members over that just won't leave. Time to get gifts that you swore that you gave to someone else last year. Oh, I love that necktie. I'm going to wear that orange necktie to school. Yes, thank you, Auntie. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican, and then the socialist. Yours truly at the helm this evening, the exceptional one, in the chat role this evening, whom I dearly love, a woman I dearly love, is Mary Brockman, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed from our program. Want to also thank Dean. Dean, listen, I want to apologize to you, man. I know that 3 weeks in a row, I missed it, but this Sunday, we will have an American Conservatives Exploration of the Inspired Word of God at 7 a.m. Sunday. I do apologize, Dean. Dave Milner in the chat roll with me as well. Deborah Blitt, thank you so much for showing up tonight. I really appreciate your attendance and being here. You're becoming closer and closer to being a conservative, I can tell. And my very good friend who is in the chat roll and is about to come up on the board in just a second. We're about to release the KRAKEN, everyone. And he's got a lot to talk about out of Washington, D.C. today. I mean, a lot. And so we're just going to cue him up and let him go. None other than a godly man with a very lovely wife and wonderful children who are doing exceptionally well in college. And as well, Vice Chairman of the D.C. GOP, none other than Ralph the Kraken Chittams. Release him.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Exceptional Conservative One?
I am doing extremely well, man. How are things with you and the fam this holiday season?
Oh, everything with the family is absolutely fantastic. One of my daughters is flying in tomorrow for Christmas. The other one's coming in next week. So everything's coming together. We still haven't gotten the tree up yet, but that's my fault.
Hey,
but we're doing good.
Hey, never admit that publicly, man. Never admit that or privately. Tell them that you're working on a season. God hasn't released you to put the tree up yet. See, go with that one.
Okay, I'll try that one.
Listen, great news apparently in Vincent Gray's life. He does not have to share a cell with someone named Butch. Can you tell us what happened today with Vincent Gray?
Well, what happened today is the U.S. Attorney General's office decided after wasting all of these years and tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars, that they are not going to prosecute the former mayor, and basically has proven that Machen, the former Attorney General, interjected himself into the mayor's race to assure that Gray would lose and Muriel Bowser would win. It was just crass politicism of the judicial system at the highest level and cost the man his elected position.
Well, now, let me go the devil's advocate way here because I play him so well. He had 6 people on his campaign staff who placed him in the room at the time they came up with the idea of a shadow campaign. He had one guy who was the chairman of a insurance firm, an HMO, Chartered Health in Washington, D.C., who lost millions of dollars. And quite frankly, he's getting ready to go to prison if he's not already there for his role in creating the shadow campaign. How did he get off?
Because there's an old adage about the American jurisprudence system. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
There you go. There you go. So,
and they couldn't prove anything.
Couldn't prove it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you plan on doing a shadow campaign, tape it.
Yeah, exactly. Or to make sure that the guy you're doing it for, there's some fingerprints of his on it, so that when you go to jail, he goes to jail.
Exactly. There you go. That's what you can prove.
It's not what you know; it's what you can prove.
There you go. So there are rumblings that the former mayor Vincent Gray is considering a run for city council in Ward 7, or B, a run for mayor of the District of Columbia against his old nemesis, the wondrous Muriel Bowser. Is there some truth to any of that?
Oh, there's truth to all of it. Seriously, there are people who are informally, putting out feelers regarding him running for the Ward 7 council seat. There are also feelers of people for him running for the at-large council seat. And I haven't heard, but it wouldn't surprise me if there are also people putting out feelers for him to go after his old job as mayor.
Now I saw
which is what I would do if I were him. I'd go right back at Muriel.
Now I saw that out of some Ward 7 people today on Facebook who were elated with the news that he was not going to share bunks with somebody named Butch. How can someone who was involved in such great corruption have credence to run for such an esteemed and sacred body as the D.C. City Council or even the mayor's office?
I suggest you just get on a bus or a plane and go to Chicago and ask Rahm Emanuel that question.
That's a good one. It's just,
Lord knows, he's been corrupt since the day one.
Exactly. Speaking of Rahm Emanuel, there are those who are marching outside of the police headquarters in Chicago, Illinois, at this hour, who are demanding the resignation, of Mayor Rahm Emanuel, or whoever he is, Rahm Emanuel, whatever. And it is because of his actions regarding the matter of a young man who was shot by a police officer. Now, these same people who protested against Rahm Emanuel also voted for Rahm Emanuel. How is it that they've arrived at the idea that they could get rid of Rahm Emanuel?
Well, because they finally woke up to the fact that this man manipulated the judicial system, suppressed a videotape that clearly shows this police officer acting, I think, in a highly egregious manner, and he did so simply to maintain the black vote so he could get elected mayor of Chicago. So they're finally waking up to the fact that they're being used, that they have been used, and they're continuing to be used. So I have no problem with them marching to get rid of Rahm Emanuel, but here's the stupidity of it. They're going to turn right around if they get rid of him and elect another Democrat who's going to have come through the same corrupt system as Rahm Emanuel and every other mayor in Chicago, and all he will have done is shift the chairs on a Titanic.
Exactly. An acceptable and capricious person to take their particular place. Now, is there any inkling that Rahm Emanuel will step down? Is he tired of being mayor?
Oh, no, he's too arrogant to step down. That's Obama's boy. He's going nowhere.
There you go. So what can these people do besides chill in the cold winds off the Chicago lake? How can they change anything in Chicago, Illinois?
Well, they really do need to protest and force Emanuel out of the office, because he clearly knew what was going on and purposely suppressed the tape for political purposes. The next thing that they need to do, and the next thing that needs to happen in every major metropolitan city across this country, is to elect a Republican government for at least one term, just to shake up the Democrats, to let them know that you can no longer take the inner city vote for granted. And unless and until the inner city voters wake up and put the fear of God into Democrats, and make them earn their vote, they're going to keep getting stupidity like Rahm Emanuel and the woman in Baltimore and Muriel Bowser here in D.C.
Don't talk about Stephanie Rawlings Blake. She's doing a wonderful job as mayor of Baltimore. Over 350 dead and growing. We're talking to.
Exactly.
We're talking tonight.
And then she's going to leave, and then Dixon's going to come back in, who got run out of office for spending the gift cards that should have been given to children so she could buy jewelry. She's going to come back and run for her old job. Only in America.
Only in the inner cities. Only in the inner cities of America do you have this kind of finagling and corruption. Ladies and gentlemen.
No, you really can't say that. Because if you go to some of these, little hollers in West Virginia and Kentucky, the corruption in those little places is just as bad. And that's, one party, poor whites doing this. If anywhere where you have a single party that's been running your place for any extended period of time, whether it's black, white, Democrat, or Republican, you are going to have corruption.
You got it. You're absolutely right about that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking tonight with the KRAKEN himself, Ralph CHITTAMS Sr., who is the D.C. GOP Vice Chairman. On a serious note, this evening, on a matter that is reprehensible to me, you attended an event today, and President Barack Obama delivered a message that was appalling. If you would relay that particular message to the people.
Well, today was the 150th anniversary of the ratification of the 13th Amendment. And there was a great program at the U.S. Capitol, and they trotted out all of the House and Senate leadership and a few other House and Senate persons to speak, and of course the last person to speak was B.O. Barack.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is now official that I no longer have any respect at all whatsoever for Barack Hussein Obama. None. The last veneer of respect I had for that man is gone. Because at this event, he equated the struggle of freed blacks for their lawful rights here in the United States with the struggle of Islamic terrorists trying to get into the United States.
Wow.
And when you tie the struggle of the freed black slaves, fighting for their rights, what they earned, in essence, their birthright, with a group of people who are trying to come into this country to overthrow, kill, maim, rape, blow up, and overthrow, you have just lost any respect that I have for you, period.
Wow.
I am done with Barack.
Now, let me ask you, was he just being generous? Was he just throwing a few things out there? Or did he make an exact comparison of...
No, he's not stupid enough to make an exact comparison because, he has to play it right to charge up his intellectually challenged constituents known as Democrats. But when you sat there and listened to the words that he said, he was making a comparison between the struggle of black Americans to gain their rights to the struggle of these Islamic terrorists trying to get into the country, saying that we have to be tolerant and we have to be accepting and we have to be welcoming and we don't have to be anything.
There you go.
When you try to kill me, when you want to rape my wife, when you want to rape my daughter, when you want to overthrow my government, I don't have to do anything for you but to be ready for you when you come. And you might not like how I'm prepared.
Well said. I want to ask you, because there are those like myself who believe that there is not a constitutional right of foreign nationals to citizenship in the United States of America. Yet there are some Barbie dolls that show up on Bill O'Reilly's show and say that because of the Declaration of Human Rights through the United Nations, that yes, foreign nationals have a guaranteed right to come to this particular country and become refugees or become citizens. have we allowed those on the left to virtually turn this country on its head by agreeing to the Declaration of Human Rights?
Without a doubt, the left is clearly trying to supplant the United States Constitution with anything that comes out of the United Nations. Now, we are a sovereign nation. The United I almost got suspended from your radio show. The United Nations can kiss the part of my body that's hidden in my pants. You don't tell me as an American what I can and cannot do. This country is ruled by a constitution. There is no constitutional right for anyone who is not a citizen of this country to gain admission into this country. Now, everybody's hollering and screaming about Donald Trump, saying that he wants to temporarily ban all immigration of Muslims into this country until we figure out what's going on. And they're hollering and screaming about Donald Trump is this and Donald Trump is that. Well, what about Jimmy Carter in 1980 when he not only shut down immigration from Iran, he actually expelled Iranian students who were here on lawful visas due to the hostage crisis. Mm-hmm. So how can Democrats on one hand talk about the great Jimmy Carter when he's the one who set the legal precedent back in the 80s for what Donald Trump is talking about now in 2015? This is just another situation of low information voters shooting off at the mouth, repeating talking points that they get from their black Jesus, Barack, and they just all need to sit down and shut up.
All right, tell us how you really feel. We have released the Kraken, people.
No, you don't know how angry I was sitting in the rotunda of the visitor center, listening to this clown, completely diminish, the history of African Americans or black people by equating our history to that of Islamic terrorists.
Well,
I was livid. I almost had a Joe Wilson moment.
You lie. But this is not the first time. The equation began with the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ movement, and that our struggle for natural rights is the equivalent for their struggle for the civil right of marriage and so on. And now, in the eyes of Barack Hussein Obama, we are no different than either a lesbian trying to marry a woman or a terrorist trying to get on a plane to come to America. We literally are no different. Do those who were sitting in that rotunda understand that he doesn't see African Americans on the same level as other people?
The people sitting in that room who were Democrats actually stood up at the end of his insulting speech and gave him a standing ovation.
Wow.
And I'm standing there in the room looking around, and it's a good, literally I was angry, I was sick to my stomach, I was livid, and when I say I almost had a Joe Wilson moment, I almost hollered at this guy. Because I was stunned that he would have the gall, just the arrogance to stand up at the 150th commemoration of the 13th Amendment and say that my people's struggle for rights is the same as the struggle of these terrorists trying to come into the country, and we need to be as accepting of them as America has been to black people.
Wow. Now, I want to ask you in this regard and follow up. In terms of that, have you seen any of this on the local news or the national news at all, this comparison?
Oh no, of course not. Mm-hmm. The mainstream media, of course, is saying that he gave a powerful speech, a positive speech, an inclusionary speech, and it was inspirational. And I'm sitting there going, well, what were you listening to? We have a bunch. I used to really get upset when people talked about low information, non-critical thinking Democrat voters. Mm-hmm. I really used to, argue and say we shouldn't say that about them. That's not being fair.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is. It is fair and it is accurate.
And some of those,
they're not ignorant.
Yeah.
They're flat out stupid.
Some of them are PhDs. Some of them are teaching at the local universities, the local colleges, and they have access to your children, to our children, as they go through the classroom setting. And there is also at the street level this oppressive militaristic system where you have to go with being a Democrat or a socialist, whether you like it or not. And I'm praying that there will be some enlightenment to our urban existence and to around the country. In fact, is there any hope for urban America?
Honestly, there's always hope because God is always on the throne.
Yes.
So, I'm not going to say there's no hope because for me to say there's no hope denies the existence of God because since God exists, there's always hope. But I'm going to say that it's a dark day for this country. It's a dark day for every corner of this country. And for those of us who, have a living faith and have accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, we need to understand that the days of persecution are upon us, and we are going to have to answer that question. Whom are you going to serve? Are you going to serve God or are you going to serve man? And it's going to be very real in the short term, and we need to get ready.
Now, I want to talk with the KRAKEN himself, Dr. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying it to you week by week. Hopefully you're going. Ralph Chittum.
One of these days, maybe.
Ralph Chittum Sr., who's the D.C. GOP Vice Chairman. But, sir, apparently this is being reported in the New York Times, and they did it after hours, so they must be really concerned. It appears that the Supreme Court justices may eradicate affirmative action in the United States of America. Anthony Kennedy being one of the justices who is most crucial to the vote, seemed to be one of the persons who was most unswayed by the government's claim. So what happens in the Fisher versus University of Texas case when Abigail Fisher wins for being a white student who was denied admission because she wasn't black?
Well, if you're going to take out affirmative action, and there are valid arguments to say that affirmative action, the way it's been implemented, was not the way it was intended. Affirmative action was never intended to ensure equal outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's how it has been twisted. But if you're going to, do away with any sort of preferences, period, then we need to do away with all preferences.
Bingo.
Because there is no way that W should have gone to an Ivy League college as a C student who was drunken on coke. And the only reason he got into the Ivy League college was because he was a legacy. So if you're going to take away preferential admissions, then let's take away preferential admissions and let everybody get in on their own right. And W should have gone to a technical college. So if we're going to play this game, let's play the game.
Well,
if we're on the football field, let's go all the way down, let's go a touchdown, and let's do away with all preferences across the board and let everybody get in on their own rights and on their own merits. Period.
Well, I agree with you in terms. I agree with you in terms of that.
No problem.
We might have a problem with legacy though, because as the money comes in, certain privileges come with that, which bodes well for individuals in our own community to build up the resources necessary to support large colleges and institutions. But this also has an economic impact because we have Muriel Bowser, who is receiving Caesar-like praise for saying that she was going to make certain that at least 2.5% of the city's budget would go to small businesses in our communities. 2.5%, because they happen to be black and small businesses. That may go out the door, and businesses will have to compete uh, against larger companies based on the availability of services and the ability to do the work. Uh, how does that impact urban America?
Well, it doesn't impact urban America at all because the minority set-aside program has always been a scam.
There you go.
You had majority companies, hire a black face or a woman to be the upfront shill. They get the contract, but the company that really got it was a majority company anyway. So the whole 8A set aside and the minority contracting, that's been a scam for the past 2 generations. And anybody who's honest about it will admit it. So is anything going to change? No.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to change. Because the people who are connected are still going to get the contracts. Because in D.C., it doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. It only matters that you know the people in power. And if you know the people in power, you get the contract. And that's the way America rolls. It rolls like that in Chicago, New York, Philly, D.C. It's just a corrupt, good old boy network from sea to shining sea. So, no, nothing's going to change.
All right. There's hope, however, on the parameter for corruption, in the sense that this becomes now noticeable for those who are involved and can make those particular changes in terms of having people in place to not only create the businesses that are competitive, but also to have people in place that see across the board fairly and judiciously individuals by their own work ethics and standards. Am I being a little bit, flighty in terms of that consideration for our current businesses and colleges and institutions?
Well, I mean, every aspect of American society should operate under, the words that were normalized by Dr. King. You're judged by, the content of your character, not the color of your skin. You're judged by your work ethic. You're judged by your work product. You're judged by something that is tangible. Can you do the job? What is your product? Is your product better?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't matter if the product is made by a white person, a black person, or a Chinese person. If you make a better widget than the guy next to you, I'm going to buy your widget.
There you go. I agree with that. Sir, how can people get in touch with you, especially if they are thinking about running for office or being involved in community affairs, or just getting commentary from you on the day's current events?
I'm on social media, of course, on Facebook and Twitter. RJ Chittam Sr., that's RJCHITTAMSSR. If you want to communicate with me, start me an email at ralph.chittams@dcgop.com. I'm eminently reachable.
There you go. Ralph Chittams. I'm not calling him doctor, although he should work towards that. He's already a doctor in our hearts and minds. Dr. Ralph Chittams. We have released the KRAKEN. We put him back in the cage for the night. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on.
God bless you. Have a good night.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk right after this.
Jersey Joe continues his takeover of conservative talk radio. Beginning January 4th, the Reverb Common Sense Show will expand. The show will now be live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. The show from hell continues its takeover.
Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But Oh, no, she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Let's swipe that. Why you gotta swipe it left? Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. Why you gotta swipe it left? This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta let's swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you pop, hashtag complex. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
Let's swipe that. Why you gotta swipe it left? Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. Why you gotta swipe it left? This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with the tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that. Smoking with a top face.
Let's swipe that.
I don't monster truck race?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Let's swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
you gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm an executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. Now we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is an in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Delicious grits, and our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused meat burgers, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. It is time to plan for going out to 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. 301-499. What is it? Am I right on 499? Let's see that. Am I right? Am I right? I think I am. Well, anyway. Thank you. Thank you very much. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. I want to give you the right number because that's where you need to be this weekend for brunch. They cater well, too. 301-449-9000, infuse.com. I would love for you all to pop in, especially all those who are planning to go to CPAC. Y'all should pop into Infuse. I'm telling you, if y'all loaded this place up, wow. Wow, you would do bigger things for urban conservative talk than ever. And you are so right, Dave. It is the bacon. The bacon. I love that bacon burger. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking tonight about the lives in times of Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump. And I want to begin this particular section. You know that there are no more commercials after this. We're going straight forward in our study to show ourselves approved. Donald Trump is warning, okay, and this is on CBN News. Donald Trump is warning about the Muslim problem.
It's a huge issue. It's a huge issue in the country, but to evangelicals, this is a bread and butter issue. It's a big deal. You said one time in an interview that there, and just recently, you said on O'Reilly actually, there's a Muslim problem in this world. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, Bill O'Reilly asked me, is there a Muslim problem? And I said, absolutely yes. In fact, I went a step further. I said, I didn't see Swedish people knocking down the World Trade Center. And, you know, it was very interesting. I thought that was going to be a controversial statement. And somebody, I think it was Dennis Miller, when they introduced him, he was doing like an analysis of my interview. He said, I love it. The guy said, what the truth is, he didn't mince his words. He didn't say, oh, gee, no, there's not a Muslim problem. Everybody's wonderful. And by the way, most Muslims are wonderful people. But is there a Muslim problem? Look what's happening. Look what happened right here in my city with the World Trade Center and lots of other places. So I said it, and I thought it was going to be controversial, and actually it was very well received. I think people want the truth. I think they're tired of politicians. They're tired of politically correct stuff. I mean, I could have said, oh, absolutely not, Bill. There's no Muslim problem. Everything's wonderful. Just don't forget. Just forget about the World Trade Center problem, blah, 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 blah. You know, but you have to speak the truth. We're so politically correct that this country is falling apart.
And I take it, though, that many evangelicals think, as it relates to the Muslim problem in the world, that the base of that is there's some concerns with the teachings of the Quran. You have problems with some of those teachings?
Well, I'll tell you what. The Quran is very interesting. A lot of people say it teaches love, and there is a very big group of people who really understand the Quran far better than I do. I'm certainly not an expert, to put it mildly, but there's something there that teaches some very negative vibe. I mean, things that are happening, when you look at people blowing up all over the streets of some of the countries over in the Middle East, I mean, just, you know, blowing up a supermarket with not even soldiers, not even ours, just people. Where 250 people die in a supermarket that are shopping, where people die in a spiral or on a street. There's a lot of hatred there someplace. Now, I don't know if that's from the Quran. I don't know if that's from, you know, someplace else. But there's tremendous hatred out there that I've never seen anything like it. So, you know, you have two views. You have the view that the Quran is all about love, and then you have the view that the Quran is there's a lot of hate in the Quran.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you right now, and don't tell me about the Crusades, because many of you all don't understand what the Crusades are about, and we're going to talk about the Crusades tomorrow night on our program. And the Inquisition, which the climate change scientists of today seem to be the lead inquisitors of our era. But I want to ask you, if I want to get right down to it, because you have the Ebony Williams on their high horses who are saying that to condemn Islam is to condemn Christianity. To condemn Christianity is to condemn Hinduism. First and foremost, I want you to understand something. Religion is something that men create to appease each other as if they are getting closer to God. Faith is something that can only be given to you exactly by God, according to his inspiration of spirit through his divine word. Hence, there is only one faith, one baptism, one Lord. His name is Jesus Christ. All other is religion. So in this particular sense, can you tell me, is there another religion out there, taking off the faith one, because the Christianity, that ain't happening. We're being beat up, massacred, killed, ladies and gentlemen, destroyed because we believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And I don't need to make up any stories. All I have to do is talk about the Coptic Christians of Egypt, and that will be enough. Or the Syrian Christians, of course, of Syria and northern Lebanon, and that will be enough. Or the Christians in Iraq, or the Christians in China, or the Christians in Malaysia. I can talk about any of those, and that will be enough. Or the Christians in Oakland, California, who decided that they were not going to sell their church, even though very wealthy individuals began to buy up the neighborhood and build supersized houses next to the church. And now they're being charged a fine of $2,500 a day for not moving because their choir is too loud. Ladies and gentlemen, this is SHR night. Sackhead Sean is in the chat roll, and listen, we are at war. They're going to talk about we are at war. And I want to go with that. What religion? Don't say Christianity, because Christianity is a faith. What other religion right now is blowing people to kingdom come? I got time. I really do. You got time. You can't think of one, and I can't think of one. But I'm an imbecile. I'm a bigot. I'm a fascist. I'm a racist. I'm a Nazi because and we learned this in kindergarten, that sometimes when you put one circle next to another circle, there's a common denominator in the circle. That whenever I put the religion of peace next to world domination, it comes up with Mohammedanism. That it is their religion. That's the problem. But what does this have to do with Donald Trump and the unfathomable Adolf Hitler? Well, first and foremost, Adolf Hitler was a Nazi socialist. He was a Democrat socialist, if in other words. He was someone who believed in the nationalism of Germany. He did not believe in communism, and he did not believe in capitalism. He was someone who believed in dictatorial power, and he believed in world domination because he thought he was a supremacist. He believed in paganism. Adolf Hitler was not a Christian, Whoopi. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. You're the same. He was a pagan. He did not believe in Christ. Yet it doesn't take much for an uneducated, ideologically miscreant to attempt to justify immorality between religions and a faith. There are those who exploit on every level in every ideological bent. But those who follow the faith of Jesus Christ are not out to destroy the world, nor condemn it, but to give it everlasting life. Those, however, that we found in the religion of quote-unquote peace have been deliberate in terms of expanding its dominion on the earth. Some of us spread the gospel, others spread out the blood of others so that they might convert. Adolf Hitler, was he related to a Jew? I want to go to the Jewish library for you. You can take this for the grain of salt that it's worth. Ladies and gentlemen, stay in the chat room tonight. SHR chat room, stay. I'm telling you, Great show, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SHR Media. According to the Jewish Virtual Library, the idea of Hitler being a Jew seems preposterous. However, the creator of the Holocaust may be related to a Jew. The question seems to stem from the remote possibility that Hitler's grandfather was Jewish. Hitler's father, Alois, was registered as an illegitimate child with no father when born in 1837, and to this day, Hitler's paternal grandfather is unknown. Alois' mother, Maria Sickengaber, is known to have worked in the home of a wealthy Jew. So there is some chance, however small, that a son in that household got Hitler's grandmother pregnant. In 1933, the London Daily Mirror published a picture of a gravestone in a Jewish cemetery in Bucharest, inscribed with some Hebrew characters in the name Adolf Hitler. But it is now known that this Bucharest Hitler could not have been the Nazi leader's grandfather. At the time, though, this picture sufficiently worried Hitler that he had the Nazi written to exclude Jesus Christ and himself. Notice that Hitler was so concerned about his edict on destroying the lives of the Jews that he made himself, because he did not know exactly, he made himself exonerated from having to be subject to the law. Dictators have a principle: I create laws that I am not subject to. How many in Congress and how many in the presidency decided to make Obamacare not subject to them, that they were above the law? In 2010, the British paper, the Daily Telegraph, I digress, reported that a study had been conducted in which saliva samples were collected from 39 of Hitler's known relatives to test their DNA origins, and found, though inconclusively, that Hitler may have Jewish origins. Wow, talk about bigot, hypocritical. The paper reported a chromosome called haplogroup E1B1B1, which showed up in the Hitler samples, is rare in Western Europe and is most commonly found in the Berbers of Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, as well as among Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews. Holograph E1B1B1, which accounts for approximately 18 to 20% of Ashkenazi and 8.6% to 30% of Sephardic Y chromosomes, appears to be one of the major founding lineages of the Jewish population. Again, this study, though scientific by nature, is inconclusive. Similar allegations of Jewish ancestry have been levied against Iranian leader Muhammad Ahmadinejad, who regularly claims that the Holocaust never happened. It's amazing how people will deny history and avoid it purposely when they may have been a part of it. Donald Trump, not so much. Adolf Hitler, he was concerned that he was a Jew. He hated himself. He loathed himself. And he loathed his potential lineage. I don't hear Donald Trump loathing his lineage nor anyone else's. The early years found that this gentleman named Adolf Hitler existed in poverty. In fact, he drew sketches in low taverns, and that's how he was compensated. He wanted to go to study to be an architect. He was accepted, but most of the people who taught him thought that his drawings were crude, that he did not have the talent, unlike others, to be an architect. In Vienna, he acquired his first education in politics by studying the demagogic techniques of the popular Christian social mayor, Karl Lueger. It picked up the stereotyped obsessive anti-Semitism with its brutal, violent sexual connotations and concern with the purity of blood that remained with him to the end of his career. I want to go to Donald Trump for a moment. And I just want to compare. We looked at the early life of Adolf Hitler. Let's look at the early life of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was born in New York City to a builder and real estate developer, Frederick Trump, and his wife, Mary McLeod. He was one of 5 children. He had his initial schooling in the Q Forest School, Forest Hills, New York. I don't think that was a public institution. I digress. At the age of 13, his parents sent him to New York Military Academy in upstate New York, where he performed well, both socially and academically, emerging as a star athlete and student leader by the time he graduated in 1964. He was at Fordham University for 2 years before joining the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania, from where he graduated in economics in 1968. He joined his father's company, Elizabeth Trump and Son, while still in college. The company focused on middle-class rental housing in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. He became deeply involved in the project and, with a $500,000 investment, turned the 1,200-unit apartment complex in Cincinnati with a 66% vacancy rate to 100% occupancy within 2 years. When we study Adolf Hitler's early life showed a great deal of poverty and disenfranchisement from family, and that he had a sense of himself that only came from extorting power and then ruling over others, forging a nationalistic impression of himself as a German, blonde-haired and blue-eyed that he was. He wasn't. Donald Trump, on the other hand, came from a family that understood that wealth did not come simply because you were born to it. You had to work on it daily. He studied. He went to a military academy. And yes, he was born with a silver spoon in his fork, but he made gold out of it later on. So I have to ask you all, the Donald Trump that comes up with the idea based on 1952 natural immigration law that says that if people don't share the American way, they can't get into our country. How does that make him Hitler? While Hitler, on the other hand, did everything he could, as much as he loathed the possibility of him being a Jew himself, creating law to be above it so that he would not have to die the fate of those he sentenced. How is it that that policy is bigoted, racist, Islamophobic, or just plain Hitlerist, I guess? It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to get beyond the petty politics. We have to get beyond the ad hominem attacks. Our nation is at war, as declared by the Defense Secretary earlier today, and total radicalism to the President of the United States. We are at war. And those in that circle that are at war with us happen to be the silent majority of peaceful Mohammedans and the radical, loud, and obnoxious and destructive, violent, jihadist Mohammedans. If you remain silent, you're equally responsible as those who do the evil. So if it's really in that particular understanding, think on this. The silent Mohammedans who refuse to put down the ISIS jihadists and the Al Qaeda and the Hamases and the Muslim Brotherhoods, those who feign weakness at the strength of the Mohammedans, who are trying to rush through gates and jump over borders to bring the destructive kin without proper vetting into our nations. Why is it racist? Why is it bigoted? Why is it Islamic phobic when the religion of peace doesn't do anything when it turns itself into the religion of violence? It's not, people. It's called self-defense. Tomorrow night we'll talk about the Crusades and how we have allowed the left to skew history to the point where not even our own conservatives know what history is and willing to fight openly against the ignorance of those that think they can share a debating floor. A man once told me, ladies and gentlemen, live bravely so that you'll never die a coward. I promise you I always will. For all of us at the Exceptional Conservative Show for the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., for the good people at Rebuting Liberty, High Plains Talk, SHR Media, The Voice of Liberty, Blueberry, and Stitcher, and all others that follow and produce and promote this show, I thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. with a look at the Crusades. Remember, America bless God. It's time for God. Forgive me. We haven't done that yet. God bless America. Now it's time for us to bless God. Good night. And stay in the chat row for the best late night talk show in the world. Yes, I am talking about Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, Free Sacco, Sackheads Radio. Good night and God bless for the nation's capital. Let's play some funky music, white boys.